Yo, what up everybody? So we back here again, guys, and then today we're gonna talk about how to behave in the open mic scene. This is gonna be about comedy, but not actually about comedy. How to behave in the open mic scene can actually translate into your life. All right, let's go. So behaving in the open mic scene, right? Open mic is the building ground of the comedic arsenal. So that's where you go to develop your material, and you might get stuck that for a little longer than you want to. I'm still doing a lot of open mics, and comedy is a thing that, let's put it clearly, like any mental ill person can chip in. You know what I mean? Because that's basically what I think comedy is mental illness but healed. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I see comedy. If you listen to the great comedians, they accepted the parts of themselves that were kind of weird or wrong, and they took them in, incorporated, and now they have like a shadow, control of the darker self, let's say. You know what I mean? That's how I see comedy. So I think like a great material, a good comedian, he'll bring that to the stage, he'll put that out there, and then you're gonna resonate with that. So the problem is, a lot of people are just, looking for something to be accepted and to belong. That's one of the greatest challenges for human beings, is to belong to something. And once you get like to open mic scene where people are like supportive, they thought like what you said was cool, and you get that like, oh shit, I thought that was wild, but then I said it on stage, everybody laughed. So you get that rewarding feeling of being accepted by the tribe on an open mic. So the problem is, a lot of people will get that and take it to the next level, where they would not really evolve into developing good material. They're not really looking to like connect with an audience. They just want to keep telling some stuff that is not really resonating, and they're bombing a lot and they don't get it. So I think that's the first lesson. Once you got to understand like what you're looking for, if you have a goal, keep the goal in mind and know who you're hanging out with. To make it clearly, you might have developed some resonance with somebody that you're both struggling, you both started, for example, and now you keep writing and you keep evolving in some sense, and that guy, he's still doing that same shitty joke that he was doing like 3 months ago when the two of you started, right? So I would say like you either like get together with that guy and say like, yo, you got to take this seriously, or I don't know, you don't say, I mean, you're not really saying that, but I think for me, I'd rather be harsh on someone and then let them know. But I will not hang out with you, but I'll keep my distance now, because there's a danger that you might infect me with your bullshit because you're not involved. Why? We put in the same time. We are, here trying to do this, and you're not passing. Like you cannot surpass your hurdle. So what is your excuse? You're just hanging out. So these kind of things, like where you're just with the guy for the hang, can be fun at the moment, but I'm telling you, bro, it's gonna cost you in the long run. A great way to do it, like to look at the comedians and people in life, is like what are their goals? Like I always look at least 3 things in a comedian. Is he writing constantly? Is he bringing new material constantly? Is he evolving on a joke? Did he add something? Or is he milking the same goddamn 5 minutes for the past year? And I'm seeing this guy for a little bit now, and he's always trying to explain that the crowd was shitty and it didn't work out, but they get it in fucking, I don't know, Sarasota. Oh, it worked in Sarasota, but here, fuck these people. Like you don't want to be that kind of comedian. You know what I mean? You gotta have try and true material where it works everywhere, bro. And Florida, especially if you're here in Florida, Florida's a great place to do it, because you're gonna get like people from all kind of walks of life. You're gonna get the whiteys, you're gonna get the Hispanic people, the black people. Everybody's here, bro. So you're probably the material that works in Florida, it will work everywhere else. So just try to get that shit done. Get your writing consistently. Get together with yourself and like try to get those jokes out. I know people be like, oh no, but you gotta come naturally, and then that's true. I agree with that. But at the same time, you gotta have a commitment to do this, and you gotta develop that, man. Because once you start getting 5 minutes and like all you can do is 5 minutes, that's not gonna really like kick out for you, man. So you really gotta try to develop a 10 minute. I think your first year as a comedian, you gotta get a 10 minute that is like working. One great thing that I'm not really like saying, but like I would feel like if a comedian is really serious, if he's reading books about it, you know what I mean? Like, biographies about the comedians, they know like what they went through and how, because I mean, that will give you a process to evolve to, you know what I mean? Not saying that you should like adapt someone else's process, but you should have tried and like different things, that will really make you evolve if you try different things constantly. And I think one thing is reading. Nobody else reads anymore. I don't know why, but it's a great fucking thing. So one book that I recommend is the greatest, bro. This is the book of Patricia New. So based on the philosophy of Black Phillip. So this is basically like this dude Compel, like he piled up all, Patrice, like interview that people call him on the radio, and he will just, give advice to people about women. And it's just what. So this is like life does not get easier when you get a woman. Relationships are not built to make your life easier. A woman love is conditional. She loves you based on what you do, not who you are. So stop thinking getting a girl is gonna complete you or make your shit smooth. It's a job, man. You have to work, and it's harder when you're carrying someone else's baggage. So why I'm recommending this book? Because this book, so this is Patricia New. Patricia New is a savage, right? So he'll give you like different, outlooks on subjects that you think is like, oh, I gotta behave. Like he's gonna get you mind on a dimension that you might be, reaching out for some shit, because it teaches me like, oh, look at this guy, how he's daring to look at that shit and like through a different angle. So I think reading, it sparks the creativity and it sparks the mind, and people who doesn't do it, I don't know, I don't really feel like that you are on a roll, bro. But anyway, that's just me. So that's what I got to say about today. Know how to behave in the open mic scene, get together with the comics who are like writing material, are evolving, and they're doing the grind, man. Because I think if you get lost in the hang, which is fun, we smoking weed and drinking and people are fucking and all that, but you gotta go somewhere in life, and orgy is something that you can always get to it later, if you've been to enough orgies, bro. All right, man. That was it for today, Bye. See you.